Okay, you guys, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Here's the example one more time. So we've got Mr. Hot Dog, and then we have some popcorn coming out from behind it. And then I've added just some little pop art details around the edges. I use sort of the zigzag line to create some interest, and then I have these little stars as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you. I have a piece of white paper here that I'm gonna use. You can use whatever color that you have. You can also use anything recycled as well. I'm going to use a Sharpie just so that you can see it. A lot of you love drawing with Sharpies, but again, I recommend drawing light until you get it right. So we want our paper vertical, so that's standing up long ways, and we're going to start by drawing the hot dog. So you want to pay attention to where on the paper I begin the drawing. It doesn't have to be exact as mine, but you want to at least leave yourself enough space for the popcorn, which is on this half of the paper. So we're actually going to start with the sunglasses, which are like 3D movie glasses, because this hot dog and popcorn come from the snack bar at the movie theater. So I'm going to start just with a simple straight line. It's pretty small. It's a couple inches down from the top of my paper. This is the top of his 3D glasses. So just very simply, I'm going to come down and come back up. I'm going to go over and I'm going to come down in a square fashion. And I'm going to do it twice. So that's the glasses. Okay, now from the top of the glasses, this point right here, but maybe a little bit in, we're going to start and we're going to bring it up and over and around to make the top of the hot dog's head. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but a hot dog is curved at the top. So it's going to come up and it's going to come over, and we can go down just a little bit past our glasses. And then we can finish the glasses right now. So we're going to make a line for the side, but we don't want it to go straight across in the same angle that we have the top of our glasses. We want it to kind of go diagonally up and back towards the corner. So not dramatically, but just a little bit. And then you can add a second one. And then on the inside, you can add smaller squares. Okay, looking good so far, guys. All right, let's focus on this side. So we're gonna do a nose, and it's gonna be pretty exaggerated. I'm gonna come, because this is the sunglasses, this is where the bridge of your nose would sit. So I'm gonna make a line, and I'm gonna come over, and I'm gonna scoop down and around. Just a really silly long nose. And then from here, keeping kind of in line with the top of his head, I'm gonna pick up my pen, and I'm gonna bring it back down right here. I'm just gonna make the top of his mouth. So I made a smile, but it's almost like half of a smile. I kind of curved it up. If you want to change his expression, feel free, but this is just a simple way. So from here, I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna scoop it back around in a J shape. But I don't want to make the hook too dramatic. I want to kind of make it flat. And the reason is because this is his bottom lip, and it needs to kind of wind up down below this. So again, you can change the expression. I want my guy to be happy, so I'm gonna put his cheek. Okay, so I'm gonna give him a little lip and curve it around and down just a little bit, and I think I'm gonna make some lines right here. He looks a little silly right now, but let's go ahead and give him a body. We're just going to give him the left side of his body. So I'm gonna kind of visualize where I want it to go. I'm gonna come down. I want it to be long enough so that it's a hot dog, but I don't want it to be too long to where it's falling off the page. So I'm just gonna kind of match this curve at the top. And then I'm gonna stop. Okay, because we wanna give ourselves this space, if we're using a marker, to put the bun. Because the bun is gonna hug him, so it needs to kind of overlap the edge of his hot dog body. So I'm gonna leave myself a space. If that's hard for you and you have a pencil, you can go ahead and draw this line just to kind of give yourself a guide. But from here, from up here, I'm gonna start not where this line ends, a little bit up. I'm gonna kind of come out and I'm gonna hook it down, and I'm gonna kind of make it a little bit curved, not wavy, not dramatic. I'm gonna scoop it up, 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 and I'm gonna at least try to make it so there. Okay, now I'm gonna come back up here. I don't want to kind of continue this line. I want to make a little curved line right here, and then I want to bring it down and maybe just make it a little bit bumpy. I'm gonna do this. Watch what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna pick it back up and connect it to this one, just so it kind of looks squishy. This is his bun. So if that was hard for you, you can just make sort of a straight line and then make sure that it curves backwards to meet your bun. Okay, now let's make the other side. So this side is going behind the hot dog and it's wrapping around and it's coming back so that we can see it. So we want to be mindful of how large this side of the bun is, because this side also has to be the same. So maybe from like coming his upper lip, from behind his upper lip, I'm gonna do something very similar. I'm getting kind of away. I'm gonna do something like this. And I'm gonna scoop it up and just make sure that it touches the hot dog. Looking good so far. Okay, let's so if you want, you can give your hot dog teeth, you can give him a tongue. But let's give him a squirt of either mustard or ketchup, whatever you like. So how I'm gonna do that, so I'm gonna make a wavy line. And then I'm gonna match it on the other side. So I want it thick enough to where it looks like it's a glob of ketchup or a glob of mustard. It's not a worm, but I don't want it to be its own curve over here. It needs to match this. So what do I mean? You need to put a hook on both ends, and then you need your pen to follow this line. Perfect. Looking good so far. Okay, so now we said that he's got some popcorn, and I did not put a face on my popcorn, but if you wanted, you could make your popcorn its own personality as well, but it's pretty simple. We just want to make sure that it's coming again from behind this Mr. Hot Dog. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make the rim of the popcorn cup, and it's a curved line, sort of like a smile. It's not super dramatic. Boom, just like that. Okay, now this line, it's going to be a diagonal line, but it's super, super slight. So we just want to kind of start here, and we don't want it to be parallel with the edge of our paper. We want it to go in on a diagonal, but just a little bit. And he can either be longer than your popcorn or shorter. I'm going to kind of end mine at the same length. Now this part is important. You want the bottom of your cup that your popcorn is in to match the top. So the curved line, it needs to be very similar. So you want to match it. Okay, so we could imagine that the edge of the popcorn container is behind the bun. All right, guys, awesome. So I'm just gonna put a little line on both sides. The popcorn you can create using a series of various sizes of bumpy lines. So bump, bump, cloud lines. You don't want them to be too perfect. You can put little marks in the inside of each kernel. They can be wonky shaped. For some of the back ones, they can be a little more nondescript. You can do something like this. I want this to look like it's kind of coming over the edge. I'm going to make a little bit of detail on the inside, but I want to keep going because I want it to kind of look like it's like spilling out the top. So they're kind of like star shapes almost, but you're using this bump bump line. Okay, guys. No. If you want to shade them, just be mindful that you don't draw too many, and they don't need to be too small. That looks pretty good. Awesome. Okay, now here's the last thing. I'm just gonna, so I've made a few look like they're falling out. They don't have to be perfect. Maybe you want to kind of think about this vertical space up here. All right, looks awesome, guys. Okay, maybe it is a little bit empty over here. I said I wasn't gonna go overboard with these popcorn, but you know how I am about detail. Okay, looks good. So let's, speaking of detail, put some detail here in the canister of the popcorn. So we want to make this look like the classic popcorn can that has the red and the white stripes. So we want not too thin, pretty thick, just a couple lines here, but this part's important. You want the first line, it has to match the diagonal of the side. This one, if it's in the middle, it can be straight, but this one, kind of almost need to change the diagonal so that it's starting wide and it's ending more towards the middle. If that doesn't make sense to you and you just make some straight lines down, that's perfect. Okay, guys, we're getting closer to the finish. If you like it like this, you can change, you can go ahead and just stop. You can add some hands and some feet if you wanted. If you want to add some feet, I just did really simple with the little kids. We came out, we went down, and we made just a little line on the edge to make the foot. I was talking to them, up here is your thigh muscle, so this needs to be wider, larger than this part, your calf would be. Okay, so he can have arms if you want. I'm not gonna do arms. I want to give it sort of like a pop art look, and I want to do sort of like a comic book shape coming from the back. So let me show you the example again. I'm gonna use a zigzag line all the way around. And this is trickier than it seems because you want to make sure that you're not making your points askew. You want to kind of make sure that they're pointing all around so that they're radiating around the center. So a good tip for that, if you need to, is to just turn your paper as you're doing it, but they don't have to be perfect. And I like to make it pretty big. And if they fall off the edge of the page, I just kind of imagine that the tip of my pen is doing that work, and then I'm just dropping it back down. So you want to pick your line up and then drop it back so that it doesn't intersect what you've already drawn. Remember, use all of the space. So go off of the page because the line is implied. Okay, oops, I ran off the page. Oops, that one got away. Okay, so I just darken the line, no worries. All right, like it never happened. Awesome. Okay, and actually, now that that happened, let's go ahead and let's darken all of these. And actually at this one, you'd be able to see over here, just to give it some depth. I'm not doing all of them. I'm just doing the ones that I would see from this angle. Okay, perfect. Looks good so far. Okay, now I recently went to a drive-in, which is what gave me this lovely idea, and at the intermission time they go ahead and pop up a little movie on the screen to entice you to go to the snack bar. So that's where I got this image, and they had these little twinkling stars. So how that works is it's a plus sign. These are pretty long, and then the diagonals, the X marks, they're a little bit shorter. Okay, so we just want to kind of throw them around just to add some interest. They can even be inside of here. They can be outside. And vary the direction that they point, just for a little something extra. You can give them these little dots on the end. It's your call. Okay, so on mine, I also added just a couple of like lines of interest here. So I can just kind of add. I'm just following the angle of my existing lines, just to give it a little more. What do you think, guys? I think it looks pretty good. Okay, so if you stick around with me, I'm going to show you how to make this a little more interesting with some colored pencils. If you don't have anything else to color with, you can go ahead and stop now. This is still an awesome drawing. You can use this character to create a story. You can make him say something. The possibilities are endless, but again, if you would like to stick around with me and color, please do. Awesome job today, guys. Alright guys, thanks for coming back with me. I'm going to show you how I'm going to color my hot dog and my popcorn. The first thing I'm going to start with though is the bun, just simply because I have a lot of different supplies that I'm going to mix and match, and I just like to start with the markers first. I think the only thing that I'm going to be outlining with the marker is the bun, and just so happens that I have a really nice light brown color. So I'm going to come on the inside of my black outlines, and I'm just going to, and actually, now inside his mouth, you might have this problem. I'm going to use my marker. Let's give him some teeth. That way we don't have to mess with that. I'm going to bring this line in and get him around. Now, you can go with whatever color scheme that you want, but again, I'm inspired this week by the drive-in movie theater. So I'm gonna go with some pretty classic and traditional colors. Awesome. Okay, now I'm gonna use a combo of this brown and this peach color. I really want to make sure that my bun is the right light brown shade. So I'm gonna go on the side and just very gentle, so that way I can achieve a light brown color instead of a dark deep brown, since this is a bun and buns tend to be light brown. Okay, just like to lay one layer. I'm using the edge of my crayon. Since it's so small, I might as well take advantage of it. Okay, and then with this peach color, I'm just gonna come back in and go right over the top of it and lighten it up. You could even use like the dandelion color. If you have that crayon, that might lighten up your brown. Either way. All right, while I have this, I'm gonna hit up the mustard. And then I think I'm gonna do the popcorn as well. So it just is your preference. You can use colored pencils or crayons. I just don't have all of the colors that I would like for my colored pencils, so I'm gonna be using a combo. With this dark color crayon, I'm gonna come in and I'm just gonna go right over the lines for the popcorn. I'm gonna just kind of get down in some of them with this crayon. And then I'm gonna use my light yellow color pencil. I'm gonna go back in just to kind of give it some depth. It's kind of hard to tell because they're very similar, but if you have different shades, you might be able to get some definition. If you wanted to, you could shade each kernel. I'll use orange just so you can see. You can go around each edge and maybe down in some of these dark spots. Just to give it a little bit of a shadow. Some definition. Maybe it's some cheese on there, cheesy powder. Okay. Looks awesome. Okay, let's get these guys. Okay. Now we can do the mustard. Let me lay a nice coating of this bright, bright yellow pencil. And then let me come back with my darker yellow dandelion crayon and maybe add just a little bit to it. Nice. Okay, now, I want to call your attention to the glasses. So these are like 3D movie glasses. So I'm gonna do one of the insides blue and I'm gonna do the other red. And that's how they look. Now, you can do the edge any color you want. I'll use a color that I haven't used yet. Why not? Okay, because he's not outside, he's at a movie. So it must be 3D. All right, I am going to use a combo of different reds to color the popcorn in striped. And then I'm also going to do our hot dog. And with the hot dog, I'm gonna kind of layer it with some brown. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you that now. Okay guys, so I went ahead and I finished pretty much all of it. Now I'm just gonna do some detail work. I have a pink color that I'm gonna use for the tongue. And I'm gonna go ahead and leave his teeth white. And then just one more thing, you don't have to do it, but I was playing around with adding some details. So I found a color that was very similar to the blue that I used, and I'm going to make some dots in a row, and I'm going to kind of stagger the rows and kind of fill in a couple of the triangles just to kind of make it a little more interesting and creative. Cool. I'm gonna do it over here too. So I just kind of use a darker color, make some dots in a row. And then I stagger where the next row is, so go between. That's be perfect. If you wanted to use crayon on top of crayon, you could do that too. I think I'm gonna do it over here too, just to kind of balance it out. Looks super cute. Alright guys, and you can add as much detail or as little as you want. And you can shade every little shape, and it always will add more interest, make things look more real. You can exaggerate the cartoon features. You can really take this lots of different ways, but I hope you've enjoyed yourself, and thanks for coming to Snack Time today with Miss Walsh.